Hello.
Hi.
Oh. This is how it... Once it goes
This is how
live,
we always start,
Is this
yeah.
just how everything dies? Like, we were just talking,
Yeah.
and then...
I was waiting for somebody to start the intro, but
Yeah, really.
it hasn't happened yet.
I mean, the beginning of the stream doesn't matter.
Wow.
This is not going to be
Wow.
in the recorded podcast part anyway.
I mean, that's fair.
Ouch.
But
All
Also,
of our
I was very
listeners don't
confused.
matter.
Yeah.
I could hear everything twice, and I was like, "What's happening?" Because I
Listening
thought
to
I
the stream.
muted Parsec. Yeah, I was definitely just listening to the stream.
I
on
think you did
Twitch.
the same
Yeah.
thing last week.
Oh my
That
gosh!
sounds right.
there we go.
Well, at least we know the audio works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
True.
Audio's good, guys.
True.
audio's good.
One
What's
check
up,
down.
stream? Hi.
Carson's probably gonna be in the chat being a nuisance.
He always
He
likes
just-
to do those rehydrate.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
All right. Where's my paragraph?
It's at the bottom.
There we go. Well, I didn't literally want an answer. I was just
It's,
filling,
it's
you
on
know?
the Google form.
Oh my gosh.
Alex.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Forecast, episode 155. Forecast is a bi-weekly podcast streamed on Thursdays, released on YouTube and podcast on Fridays. We're a community of people that love exploring, discussing all kinds of things from video games, board games, to TV and film, and our everyday life experiences. If you'd like to know more about what we do, you can follow us at facebook.com/sorry, that was the old one. facebook.com/thehorizonfb, or you can come hang out on our Discord channel, or you can check us out on our website, wearethehorizon.com. We have a bunch of original content for you to browse there, including our multi-arc Starfinder adventure, the Discord Signal. Additionally, everything we talk about will be in our cast notes, which will be pushed out to whatever podcasting app you're using. I am your host this week, I guess, again, Alex, since we're missing an Aaron again. I'm joined by a couple additional peeps here. We got Owen,
Hello, guys. Yeah, it's non-binary pals.
we have Chad,
Our marketing's confusing. You're not to be blamed.
we got Jake,
Hey, yo, what up?
and we got Caleb.
Hey, that's me.
Seriously, why
Right.
have we not just recorded Aaron doing that intro once?
Oh,
And
yeah,
never
that'd
done
be a good
it
idea.
ever again. Just plug
Oh
it
man,
in every
and
time.
just plug in the number.
That'd be
That's
smart.
What are we doing? What are
Smart.
we doing?
It's more
Welcome to the
organic.
Forecast, episode 155. Bye.
See, I love that. That's great.
Just our robot
Yeah.
voice over the top of it. Every time.
honestly so good. We got
Sorry, I couldn't
another
get to the
list.
phone right now.
We got another list, guys, to start us off. The list here is 101 podcast ideas.
Oh, thank
Now
God.
we're not going to go through 101 of them, but I
We'll
did
go through
think,
99.
I did think that as a podcast, we could do a podcast about other podcasts.
That's just smart.
Where's video games? Is it number 3?
I don't know where
No.
video games is on this. We could do a podcast about sports because we don't
No.
know anything about sports, or we could do a podcast about not knowing anything about sports. Bam, 2 ideas right there. Ooh.
They've got one. They're apparently.
78.
Wow, is video games? Jesus.
Wow,
We
that's
need
really
to
low.
change. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel here.
71 is
Yeah.
game show, if you guys wanted to,
God,
Put up a
I'm
couple
gonna
runs.
throw up right now.
I mean, number 1 is learning a new skill. Let me tell you about this new skill that I picked up about reading things about other podcasts.
Okay, so here's something. 70 is home improvement. And I'm just kind of baffled that gaming is below that, because home improvement is something you go to YouTube for, to actually watch a
Yeah.
video on how to do stuff,
Well,
not
but
just
then you
listen
see
while you're in your
Chad.
car.
Chad, these are ideas. They are not ranked. They're just a list of ideas.
Oh,
Well, then they
Okay.
shouldn't have put
okay.
numbers on.
They
them.
did put numbers.
That's a ranking.
Yeah.
Also, I think,
84
it
is
means home,
coffee.
I think it means Home Improvement, the TV show.
Mm. Yeah,
Oh,
with
that makes a lot of
Tim
sense.
Allen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Everyone needs more Tim Allen.
Well, I mean, I
Yeah,
can read the description
definitely.
here. With some home improvement knowledge in your tool belt, start a podcast about all things home renovation and repair, home design, and general home DIYs.
And then every time you switch topics on that one, you can just go,
See,
It's like a transition.
Some of
Hey,
these are
neighbor.
terrible.
What if we had a podcast that talked about tech, or maybe movies and like TV shows. What about that?
I don't know
I
about
do
that.
like.
Sounds dumb.
Wait, what the? Why is okay? Movie and TV review is on here,
Uh-huh.
but then later there's all things cinema. They're next to each other, actually.
yeah.
What's the difference? That's the
Did you-
same one twice.
Did you not see that 5 and 6 were just sports, and then people who know nothing about sports?
Oh, I did not actually see that.
Wait, 101 is podcasting. Why not start a podcast on podcasting?
Oh,
That's what I
wow.
opened
That's
with,
what. Yeah,
Chad.
that's what we're doing now.
That's so meta.
Pretty good.
These
So, yeah,
are
that's a-
so bad.
They're
It's-
really
it's
bad. There's one
absolutely
about
terrible.
rating ads.
Yeah,
That's a whole
ads,
podcast
just
idea?
ads.
Just talking
See-
about ads.
I like Budweiser.
The meta
Writing.
thing is that I heard this list on a different podcast, and I was like, "Oh fuck, we need
Oh
to
my
steal this
God.
shit."
Wow.
But what
Sailing.
we shouldn't steal. Whoa, sailing's on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Number
dude.
66.
I like.
I would
The
love to
bow.
do an entire podcast on sailing.
entire-
Let's go.
Weekly
Alright.
podcast. New sailing topics every week.
You know, just talking about, you know, like where you like to sail, you know, maybe renovations that you've done on your boat, you know, trying to, you know, buy a sailboat, sell a sailboat, repair a sailboat. Maybe you're trying to, you know, like fix your jib, or the boom, you know, and you're just like, you know, working away. Maybe you've got some fun drinking stories with your buddies about how you went down to the point, you know? I can vamp so much on sailing. Do not tempt me with a sailing podcast.
Quote of the day. That
Yeah,
seems like a really
that
short
feels like-
podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not every podcast has to be 2 hours long.
All right, so
Yeah, but
down
I think
below,
they should be more than 5 minutes.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
after
isn't
the
there-
actual list, there's a place that says how to find topics for a podcast. If you go to number 3, it just there's a section that literally says after generating tools and techniques, Google the alphabet.
What?
What do you mean?
So I read through it a little bit, and it says, all right, so for instance, if you're doing a podcast about like entrepreneurship or I guess that's the only thing that they really say. There's, you know, Google entrepreneurship and then type A after it and hit enter. And then entrepreneurship and then space B, and then just see if there's like topics there that you can talk about.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
great. That's some
You
good
could-
stuff.
You could do what, you know, every single radio show does and just do podcasts about whatever's trending on Twitter or Reddit.
Mm.
Congratulations, your job is done.
Fresh
Little,
Reddit.
little trade secret there. But this is, in fact, not a podcast about podcasts or anything else like that. This is a podcast about video games and what we've been playing lately. So, Jake, what video games have you been
Oh, we're
playing
gonna
lately?
start with me. Okay, I've only got one. So last week I talked about fighting games for like 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that.
Yeah, roughly.
But I started another one. I started playing Wild Blue Cross Tag Battle because I think hopefully we're going to be doing a bunch of fighting games this weekend. And this
Yeah.
is one that I think is going to be featured. What I really liked about this one is that it's really simple. There's
Is it?
basically, yeah.
There's a lot
Each-
of buttons.
There are a lot of buttons,
That's-
but
oh
I
my
I was
God.
fine with it. Because I played like 15 minutes of this.
There's like
Um,
you only need to know one like input combination: quarter circle backward, quarter circle backward.
Yeah, but there's so many like button combos also, and you do them
You
at
just-
specific times.
there's just different buttons.
I'm
It's
just-
easy. It's like
It's
a
so
video
co- it's-
game.
I'm just going,
So much.
you know, like right X Y X Y X Y X Y X Y.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
you know what your base combo is? Square, 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 square.
That
Yeah.
that's
And
fine,
that's a cool combo.
but there's like
Great.
so many special moves, so many.
There's like 4. Quarter circle backward in A, quarter circle backward in B, quarter circle forward in A. It's easy.
I think my only complaint of me playing this game was that I was doing like the story mode to try to like learn characters, and I realized that I don't care about the story or what's going on. I just want to play as the Ruby people.
Yeah. I think
So I was like,
eventually,
fine.
I think there is like a Ruby storyline, but I think you have to beat the story once to unlock it or something.
Oh my god.
I'm kind of unclear because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just go and I'll just play the Persona characters, whatever. And I open it up, it's like, okay, do you want to do episode 1? And I was like, I mean, I guess. And it's like, okay, great, here are the BlazBlue characters. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know Steve BlazBlue. Get out of here.
Yeah, I was like playing some BlazBlue guy, and then this like Chie chick showed up, and I was like, okay, I love her.
She's great.
The second that she showed up, I was like, I instantly understand Tim and Jake on a different level now because
the
I
best.
understand Chie.
I'm surprised to hear you thought it was complex.
Yeah,
And
I'm also surprised by that.
I probably just think all fighting games are complex, which I do. But
Fair.
there's like a bunch of like combos of 2 buttons, and they're all used for different things, and you got to keep track of which 2 go to which. It's just a lot.
Yeah, I suppose.
And then there's quarter circle versions of almost every single one of those.
Yeah, but you don't have to learn like complex button inputs. It's just quarter
I
circle
guess.
forward.
Yeah,
That's it. It's just a quarter circle, either forward or backward, and then a button. And it does the cool move. And you're like, oh, dude, yeah, I love that. That's great.
I think I
Yeah.
have like 5 keys mapped, even though that only starts with like I think I have like 7 keys mapped actually. Now that I'm looking at my keyboard, even though it only
You're
starts
using
with 3
keyboard?
because all the combos of buttons. Some of them are like terrible to reach together.
I'm afraid
with,
to
like, a
ask,
nice
but are we
layout.
supposed to use keyboard versus a controller? Like, is this one of those things that
I
you
don't
get
think it
judged
matters.
for doing the other?
Use whatever you want.
Because I did my first fight on keyboard, and I was like, fuck this noise. I need to just be like spamming XYB. Like I don't know what's going on here
Yeah.
on my keyboard, but I did not like any of that.
Quarter circle's so easy on a keyboard.
Yes.
Just
I
2
had
button
this
presses
pushing-
back to back.
Yeah, I
was
was gonna say,
pushing
you
multiple buttons at the same time. On a controller, I was like, this is impossible. On a keyboard, I'm like, oh, easy. Hitting U and J at the same time? I only need 1 finger, baby. Just
You
roll
say
that
quarter
shit.
circle like I understand what any of that is. I just button smash.
Down,
It
down
teaches
and
there's a
forward.
tutorial.
Forward.
Yeah, you gotta like on the directional buttons, you form a quarter of a circle.
Mm-hmm.
You
Or if
start
you're
it
using
down,
analog stick,
end
you
it.
just pull it down and then rotate it up to forward. On the
Mm,
keyboard,
yeah.
though, you can just roll it really quick.
Mhm.
And I feel like analog sticks aren't precise enough to do it. It makes doing stuff like quarter circle really easy, but I feel like it's really floaty for everything else. Whereas the D-pads made my thumbs bleed. So
Yeah, that's fair.
keyboard's like a really nice happy medium for me at least.
Yeah. I used to do D-pad on controller because it was way more precise than the analog stick, but
Yeah.
it does like mess with your thumb.
It's hard. Like literally, I would finish playing and it'd be like, my thumb hurts,
Yeah.
which is weird.
Back in the day when I played Street Fighter 2 a lot, I like injured my thumb on the D-pad.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
Gosh.
Like actually like tore up the skin some because I was using like
Jesus.
the PlayStation D-pads
so
that
much
kind of
force.
got like
kinda
sharp
pointy.
edges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you basically like to do dragon punches and stuff. Like you just rub your thumb like as hard as possible across that thing.
Yeah. That's dedication, though. Did you
Yeah.
at least win?
We were all pretty bad, so
Okay. So probably
Yeah.
at least one.
I-
that
Yeah,
was my
maybe-
old
maybe a
fight
little
club.
You have an old
back when
fight
I
club?
had
Oh my god.
2 other people.
Where's
that
the
actually
talk
played
about
fighting
fighting,
games.
Alex? What are you doing?
I ruined the first rule.
whoops.
Yeah.
That fight club's disbanded now, so that's null and void.
Mm.
Oh yikes.
No, all rules are null and void now. Speaking of some other anime-based video games, hey Chad, what have you been playing lately?
Wow, we leapt to the bottom of the pile. This is jarring. Was not ready for this. We play a little Neon White. Realistically, I have been playing way less video games lately than I have before moving. Basically, just been trying to get the house together. Moving to a 77-year-old house from a 10-year-old house is a little jarring. So trying to get everything all set up and get couches and spending tons of money there. But Neon White, really cool game.
Yeah.
I got through all the way to chapter 5 or 6 or whatever. I've basically started just one-shotting missions and not really caring what time I got just to get through the missions, and I'll go back later.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
want to
say
be in the
'cause
top 50 for each mission?
Yeah,
you were
was
taking a
taking
while doing that. Yeah.
There's a couple though that if when I'm going through the levels, I'll be like, this level's really cool, and I'll just like sit on that one for a while. But yeah, for the most part, I've been kind of one-shotting each of them, and I also don't know if I'm the only one of the group who's played this game with just every single time there's cutscenes hitting F to fast forward through everything, but I have zero clue about the story. I've only played the game.
I was interested in the story at least a little bit. I didn't think it was too bad.
I've been listening to the characters so far.
Yeah, I had a good time with it. And Chad, I'll have you know that I got myself into some top rankings while playing some Neon White. I got into the top 200 for beating the entire game and not dying with all rockets, which is one of the modes that you unlock at the end of the game.
Interesting.
All rockets.
Yeah, everything you pick up is a rocket. And it just go through, it shuffles every single map, and so you go through all 96 levels with all rockets, and you just have to get to the end without dying. And I managed to get there, and I was like in the top 200 of that, and I felt really good. And then I saw how many people have actually done that, and it's like 400 some people, because it's so hard.
That's funny. Yeah, Alex was telling me that there's stuff that you can get to once you actually like get through all of the levels, and I was like, oh, I should probably try to actually get through all the levels.
Yeah, there's like surprisingly other things in the game than just hey, do this one level 50 billion times so you can be top 50 and like
but
do
like
it in 6 seconds.
Literally raging at the computer about 0.01 second is just amazing. And then once you get that level down, oh man, that water one still is my favorite, where you like go under the bridge and like jump up to get the card and then go along the side of the enemy, and you blow up the circle first and then shoot yourself through the little area where there's actually water and get all the way through and just like in a pattern, just like left, middle, right, and then blast yourself. That's just great. It's the flow of Neon White is just really cool when you start getting some levels down.
Yeah, it is really fun to play, and it's very fun to watch. There are things that I feel like later on you're gonna really enjoy, because you just there's some later levels that are very beautifully well done, and you just flow. Like you're just jumping from one card to the next card, and it's just like this wonderful dance that you're doing across the screen. And I think it's just extremely well done.
Yeah, I'm excited to see more content, because I finally got to like the green gun where you slam yourself on the ground, and then there's like the red shotgun where you could basically make yourself shoot forward in any direction you're looking, instead of like the sniper where it's just on that one plane.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. It's cool stuff. And everything like flows kind of nicely, switching weapons, like using stuff at certain times. It's also really fascinating to go through a level a couple times, and like you get to like a certain time of doing it, and you're like, must be missing something, because people are legitimately getting like 3 to 4 seconds ahead of me. And so you go on to YouTube, look up the level, and just, man, I never even thought about taking that path. And then you start like mastering that path, and you get close to those numbers, and it's like just really cool game.
I think what's insulting though is when you look it up, because I do this when I'm going against you, because like you just lap me so badly on maps. And then I'm like, okay, what is Chad doing that I'm not doing? And then I like look up like some of the fastest times on YouTube, and it's literally the same shit that I'm doing, just better. And I just feel so bad. Then I'm just like, okay, this is Chad gets to win this one. I don't know. like it just feels so bad. I'm just like, I'm taking this path. I'm just not as good.
So
what else have you been playing lately?
Right, if we go backwards for a second, it's not listed here, but it kind of reminded me saying I didn't really care about Neon White's story, reminded me of me popping Guilty Gear on, and then scrolling down to what I thought was the story mode, and I proceeded to watch anime for a while, waiting for the game to start, not realizing that the game was never going to start. So, that was cool. That was a trip. I started spamming through and clicking through a lot of scenes before I realized, let me just back out and see if I could just go find a fight somewhere. So.
Yeah. You missed last podcast when we talked about all the fighting games, and Jake explained that it's just 4 hours of anime.
Yeah, see, you miss out on one podcast and then you get misled.
Yep. You gotta listen, man. That's if I'm not here, I'm listening to us Friday morning on all of the socials because that's just what I do to make sure that I'm not missing a beat with you guys.
So I actually started playing Pray for the Gods again. I think I had talked about how they made a couple more bosses, maybe like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that. I mentioned it on a podcast how it came out in 1.0. I started a survival hard mode. The only other mode above that I think is like legendary or something like that. But I didn't want to like completely punish myself. I just wanted to kind of challenge myself since I've beaten through 6 bosses on like a normal mode, and I kind of know the flow of each one of the bosses. What I didn't expect is to get to the second boss, which was one that I one-shot every single time and spend an hour or 2 on it trying to beat it because my stamina kept depleting. I would get hit randomly by random stuff and lose too much health and freeze to death. I'd fall into the water and drown. Yeah, it was a good time though. They've done a lot of really cool things with that game. They've added a iframe to the dodge. They've added different climbing modes. So when the game originally released, basically what you did is you jumped and you clicked a button and you held on. You could let go of the button and climb up, and then when the boss shakes, you tap Y, or on keyboard and mouse you tap a button, and it kind of saves your stamina from depleting faster. You kind of knuckle down a little harder, and then you continue climbing. They made it to where there's the quote-unquote classic mode, which is from Shadow of the Colossus, where once you jump on, you just hold and you continue holding, and that's it. You don't have to hit a button when they shake. Holding saves your stamina. Then there's the auto climb mode, which is as soon as you jump towards them, it'll just auto grab for you, and you never have to hit a climb button. I believe you still have to hit the Y button or whatever other button when they start shaking. So that's cool. From what I understand, they just like improved performance a little bit. I don't know what else really there is that they developed out, but very disappointed in Aaron because when I clicked on to Pray for the Gods to go back and play it, I like kind of looked through my friends list to see who has played a little bit of that game, and there's like I think Jake with a couple hours. I don't know if Caleb even owns it, kind of thing, and then Aaron literally played it, but only played 12 minutes.
That's barely even playing it.
Yeah, he played 12 minutes and said, "This game's not for me," and put it back down.
Just return it, my dude.
So what that tells me is because, like I said, I started replaying this game. He literally got through the initial boss, which is probably the most boring boss. It's just hey, this is how you beat a boss, the tutorial, and then he put it down. There's no mechanics with that boss. You just kill it real quick, and then it's like, okay, that's how you play the game, and then that's it. That's all I did. So I told him I was displeased.
As you should. I think that people would be upset if other people on the podcast weren't playing the games that they were playing, so they couldn't understand what was going on in these games. I don't know anybody who would do such a thing.
I don't think you're gonna get anybody to play Fallout.
I was more of saying, like how I don't play half of the titles that we have for Game of the Year.
Oh.
How's that Elden Ring going over there, Owen?
Yeah.
I looked at Elden Ring and I thought, not for me.
Dang.
Hey Caleb, what have you been playing lately?
I've been going back through my who finished category on Steam, finishing a bunch of older games. So finished 100% in Sekiro. That's a blast. Been playing a bunch of Binding of Isaac. They added a DLC last year sometime called Repentance. Yeah, that's right. And they added a tainted version of every character, which is just a twist on the existing character that makes them harder to play most of the time. but pretty interesting. So, like, for one example, Isaac always starts with a D6, which allows you to reroll items when you find them. Tainted Isaac, every item pickup is constantly swapping between two things, and you can choose which of the two you want to pick up. But you can only have a total of 8 items over the entire run. So you gotta be really careful with a lot more options.
That seems. I was gonna say that seems very limiting.
Yeah. Tainted Isaac is actually really tough. I don't think I've beat almost any boss of them, but there's a ton of characters, and now that there's a tainted version of everyone, there's a lot of ways to play that game. And I think I'm getting higher on achievements. I'm at 466 out of 637.
Hey, that's more than
So many.
Doing a pretty good job.
Yeah,
I'm at 73%. Not bad.
that's not bad.
Working my way up. Hopefully
Isn't
one day I'll finish that completely.
This game has like 120% achievements or something like that.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, no, never mind. I'm
You're talking
just
about Hollow
thinking
Knight,
of,
which has the beat the game at 112%.
I think I am thinking of Hollow Knight. Hey, Alex, have you been playing Hollow Knight recently?
Yeah. So I talked about it last podcast. But since then, I went through and finished the regular ending and the true ending.
And Path of
Ending,
Pain.
quote unquote. And Path of Pain, yeah. Path of Pain
Did you
was
do
a pain.
God Seeker? God Seeker? Is that what it's called?
Gone Home, I think.
God Home.
God Home.
No,
God
Gone
Seeker,
Home.
Not Gone Home. That's a different game.
Oh.
God Seeker is a thing also. I think God Home is the name of the DLC.
Yeah. God Seeker,
Very
I think, is
possible.
the guy that you dream nail to get there.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've done 2 of the Pantheons, 2 of the 5. And the Pantheons are basically just boss rushes with a new boss at the end. The first 2 are pretty easy. The third one seems doable also, but I've kind of I've come to the conclusion I'm not going to go through all 5 of them, so why go through anymore anyway? I don't know.
It's probably smart. They do get... I mean, I never finished it.
Yeah.
Like borderline impossible, for me at least.
I've
I've
heard
been
the
stuck
last
on the last
one.
Pantheon for ages.
I've heard the last Pantheon is like one of the toughest achievements in all of video games.
It's literally, it's every boss in the entire game, back to back, no checkpoints.
With one extra.
With a brand new boss at the end that is like the
yeah.
hardest
Yeah.
boss.
That
Yeah.
seems so hard.
It's not easy.
So the problem I have with those is like, all right, you got a new really hard boss. Let me like sit here and fight it for a while, learn its patterns and that kind of stuff. If I were to try to do that with Pantheon 5, it's like, no, I gotta fight all the other bosses first to get the chance to try to see some of the
Well,
new moves.
There is a hall. There's a place you can go where there's just a statue of every boss, and you can challenge it there.
Yeah.
Oh,
so once
that's
you've seen
useful.
it once, I think you can go play it in the hall.
Yes, that is
That's
correct.
useful.
Alone.
Wow.
Mhm.
The
Okay.
bad thing is you get really good at beating boss number 50,
Yeah.
and then you got to do 49, and then you get back to 50,
Yeah.
and you're like, shit, I don't remember how to beat this guy, and then you lose.
Yeah. It seems kind of crazy. I thought all the other like hard stuff in the game was cool. Like the Grim Troop stuff was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Nightmare King Grim is an excellent fight.
Yeah. It's a blast.
As long as you don't
Um,
accidentally skip it.
Did you skip it?
Yeah, I didn't realize I was skipping it until it was like,
Oh,
okay, good job, you're done with the
no.
DLC, and I was like, oh.
No, that's a really
Yeah.
good fight.
Yeah.
I mean, I fought him through the Pantheon, so I did get
Oh,
to
there
fight
you
him
go.
at least.
Yeah, you could see him at least. There's that.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably the charm you get for doing the other path is way more useful.
I don't
As
know.
you
That one's,
get-
it's just like a chance to
You get-
negate
it's-
damage, right?
It's a chance to negate damage, yeah, which
It's
is
boring charm.
It's way better than the absolutely useless companion that it gives you.
Oh
if you
no,
don't, if you
he's
don't do that.
great. You
No.
can make like a whole.
He's so bad.
You can make like a whole summon build with him in there. All the
Man,
Yeah.
Weaverlings.
none of them are the
So
stinky
good.
charm, so like, who even cares?
Yeah, so I did all that. I fought Radiance after, Hollow Knight. Also, there's another ending where like you do all the stuff to get to the true ending, and then Hornet shows up during the Hollow Knight fight, and you just like don't dream nail him.
Yeah.
You're like,
Just
screw you,
ignore her.
Hornet.
Yeah.
She just dies. It's messed up.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
You're just like, no, screw you, Hornet. I'm doing this my way. Yeah, beat Radiance. Radiance is a really cool fight. That's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also did like the thing with the mushroom that gives you another extra cutscene
yeah.
at the end,
Mm-hmm.
where he just like
Mhm.
blasts off into space and it says to be continued. And I'm like,
Yeah.
all right,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, that's Silk Song, baby.
Yeah.
Almost here,
guess.
guys.
Can we
Yeah,
talk about
eventually.
how cool that fucking Radiance fight is when he walks out and he just looks at what appears to be the setting sun
Yeah,
and just draws his nail? It's like, is he gonna fight the sun?
yeah,
And then
it's
you
very,
fight the sun.
Yeah.
really epic.
Excellent.
Fucking great. I loved it.
I will say, I finished all that, and then I was like, cool. Now time to figure out what the story meant. And I went to YouTube and found somebody that could explain it to me.
Was it Moss
Because-
Bag?
Yeah, it's always Moss Bag when it comes to
I had
Hollow
no
Knight.
idea. And I
Probably.
don't know. It was like a 20-minute video that explained all the lore, and I was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now. Like Hollow Knight, or the Hollow Knight was like your brother essentially, and they needed a husk that had nothing like in his head to be able to contain the radiance, because the radiance fed off of people's dreams and like infected everybody. And also like Hornet is your half sister, because one of the dreamers like agreed to lock away the Hollow Knight and the Radiance only if the Pale King would give her a child.
$1.
So Pale King's getting around. He had,
Pale
all
King
the Abyss
fucks.
children with
With the white lady, right?
the White Lady,
Mhm.
yeah, and then also Hornet with the Queen of Deep Nest. All this cool lore that I was like, man, glad that's in the game. Then I could totally understand what they were talking about the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much got that Dark Souls storytelling.
Yeah.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I do the same exact thing during every expansion of World of Warcraft. I'm just like, I'm sorry, what am I doing? Why am I level my character up and then I immediately go to like some YouTube page to explain what my character is doing on this new continent or whatever. Just be like, oh yeah, here's the story, and be like, cool, thank you, 20-minute YouTube video. What else have you been playing there, Alex?
I also did the Path of Pain. I just want to mention it took me so long, like 4 or 5 hours, something like that, to get through the Path of Pain.
Ooh.
Been stuck on that final section for a really long time.
The final section, I think, by itself took me over 2 hours.
Oh my god. For anyone who's not played it, Path of Pain is a really hard platforming challenge in Hollow Knight, where you're basically like going through buzzsaws and like pogoing from buzzsaw to buzzsaw. It's
Yeah.
buck wild. It's really hard, but really satisfying to get through.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Caleb had to direct me to it, and then he was like, "You don't get anything for doing this, but you can do it if you want." And
I
was
warned
like,
him.
challenge
It's gonna take
accepted.
a while too.
If you
The
want
heads
the
up.
100, you need it for 112% completion, I think.
Do you?
Probably.
I didn't think you
At the
needed it
very
for anything.
end, you get a bestiary entry.
You do, yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm not
I
going to
wasn't
get
sure that was
112%
required or not.
completion anyway, so
Wow, embarrassing.
I mean, I'm at like 109% or something like that,
Mhm.
Quitter.
and I think
Each Pantheon gives one.
each Pantheon is the last 1% each that I need.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm stuck
gonna
on
check my
111.
achievements.
Because I did go through and get all of the Hunter's Journal stuff, including like killing the things to get the extra entry. That's a really cool section when you go confront him after that's done.
Mm-hmm.
Cool little fake out thing.
hmm
But yeah, Path of Pain, I finished it after hours, right? And then immediately looked up the world record speedrun of somebody doing it in like 2 minutes, like the entire thing. I was like, I feel so bad about myself. I knew I was gonna feel bad.
runs when you try to compare yourself to a first attempt at something.
Yeah, I knew I was gonna make myself feel bad, but I was like, I just want to see how easy they make it look.
Gosh.
And it's so ridiculous how I mean, they do the entire thing without taking a single hit in 2 minutes, and it took me like 4 or 5 hours, something like that. Crazy.
Crazy.
I also watched VOD of Small Ant running it, and he had never done it before, never seen it, and just went through it, and it took him like 23 minutes to get through the entire thing.
Are we sure
god
he
gamer.
was telling the truth about that?
Yeah,
Because it's
I
real
mean, as
easy
far
to
as I
be
know.
like, yeah, I've never done this before. You know?
As far as I know, that was during his playthrough of Hollow Knight that he did on stream. So I don't know. I've also been playing, after I finished up Hollow Knight, Crosscode, which you may know from me saying Crosscode's really good every Game of the Year podcast. They put out a DLC for it a while back that is like an epilogue called A New Home. It wraps up a lot of the story beats and gives you, like, there's a section in the main game where you do a raid with your group, but it gets interrupted because story. And so you get to finish the raid in the DLC, and they add a final dungeon that kind of culminates everything. I'm actually like ready to start the last dungeon at the point I'm at. And then I walked up to start it, and the character's like, "Hey, yeah, you can totally start this now, or you can prepare more. Like, talk to Lucas if you want to know what your gear's looking like." And I'm like, "All right, cool." Talk to Lucas. Lucas is like, "Yeah, you probably could do it, but you could use better gear." I mean,
Lucas didn't believe in you.
Lucas is like, "Yeah, it might be okay, but maybe upgrade something." And I'm like, "Freaking A." So then I've spent so much time trying to track down materials for better gear. I'm almost at the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna run it without upgrading.
My one issue with that game is it can be a little grind heavy sometimes.
Yeah,
That was the reason I never finished it.
Yeah.
They're like, it's a fake MMO in this RPG world. Let's put like real MMO grind in it sometimes.
Yeah. Weird energy.
But I don't know. Like, they introduced Ascended Gear in this DLC, and Ascended Gear is essentially like, this is what you're going to need for endgame. It is not level specific. It matches whatever level you are and scales forever. So I have all base Ascended Gear, but I don't have any like the special Ascended Gear that gives extra bonuses. And they're like, I don't know, you could use better gear maybe. And then I go look up like stuff you would have to farm to get that gear, and a lot of the people are in the dungeon that I'm about to do that you need to like kill to get the equipment. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I could just do it. From what I've read on Reddit and stuff like that, people are like, they expect you to be like level 70 when you go into it and come out at like level 75-ish. And I'm there, so maybe I'll just run it. I don't know.
I mean, what's the worst that happens? You go in, you realize it's impossible. You go grind for gear, I guess, right?
I guess. There's like this story significance of like, you race your guild mates when you do a dungeon, and that's like an actual, like, they time you how long you're in the dungeon, and if you complete it within a certain time, then the story will be like you won versus they won. So I always want to try to be able to like beat them.
I think I never did.
Dumb
Maybe
NPCs.
once.
There's also like duels you do. I did the final duel with Apollo. Pretty hard. Beat him though, and then he was like, I don't know what is the meaning of life anymore. And I was like, sorry,
Damn.
Apollo.
Is that the Falcon guy?
I got
Falcon looking guy?
Yeah. He's like, did I even teach her anything? She beat me every time. I don't understand. I'm like, yeah,
That's brutal.
get wrecked, kid.
Jeez. Have a heart.
But yeah, there's like a lot of like character moments and wrapping stuff up. There's a lot of there's some story stuff that happens late in the game that spawns some ideas and things that they are paying off on now that I didn't even consider as like stuff that they should explore, but they are now, which is kind of cool. I don't know.
Cool.
It's a lot of, I was gonna say some stuff, but there's a lot of really spoilery stuff, so I'm just not gonna.
Yeah. So
into
maybe
that.
don't say the spoilery stuff.
Okay, Owen.
I'm just saying.
Is anyone here gonna play it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Caleb's
Okay.
considering.
It's in my to finish list, and that's what I'm working through right now. So.
Oh, I was saying yeah because I agree with Jake. I'm not actually gonna play this.
Oh,
Oh, I am.
it's confusing to say
I
yeah
was
when I say is
misleading.
anyone gonna finish it?
Yeah,
That was a
I
roller
realize
coaster.
I realize that
Yeah,
I
no, I
messed
was
that
like,
up.
I didn't even think you played the base game.
No.
No.
That's what I was saying. It was like I have no interest.
And there's a new area to explore, so there's
Yeah,
that.
that's cool.
Jump puzzles and stuff. It's always fun. Great game.
So some talking about a great game. I went back to a classic today. There's
World of
this
Warcraft?
thing. No. There's this game called Skyrim.
Never heard
Never
of it.
heard of it.
I know. But there's this thing called Skyrim Together where you
Oh?
play Skyrim but with people.
Is this the same as Fallout?
I mean, it's as buggy as Fallout 76. Let me fucking tell you that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, okay.
It's a mod for Skyrim that allows you to get a bunch of people onto a server and play Skyrim together. And so I jumped into this public server and I just like walk into the first town and there's this person who's like kneeling, but they're somehow like it's one of the NPCs and they are normally kneeling in the town, like I guess begging for a coin or something like that. And I just see her like sliding backwards through the streets of the town.
Oh, great.
Love it.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is going well. And then I see this other like weird animation go across, and then I realize that's weird animated. It's weirdly animated not because it's an NPC, but because it's an actual person. And so then I just started following this person around, and like you have a little like chat box that you can chat with people, but this like I mean every single person I ran into in the game, they just like crouched. They just looked at you and then crouched up and down a bunch, and then you do the same, and then you just like follow each other around and go kill random shit.
It
You can
sounds
also-
like we need to explore this for the 24-hour stream and see how fast we can beat the game.
Honestly,
Oh my
1,000% yes, because you can group up and do quests together. Like one person is the person that like holds the quest that you're like progressing their quest line of or whatever. And so I think 1,000%. All of us make characters. We all like start playing Skyrim together and doing like stupid things in the quests. I think it would be a lot of fun. I honestly thought it was it's a cool idea. I'm surprised it works as well as it does. Honestly, like yeah, it's some buggy shit, but it's Bethesda. When is shit not buggy? And this is a mod for it. So when are mods for Bethesda games not buggy?
Yo, turn that FPS up. See that cart go wild.
They've been working on this mod for like 5
A
years or
long
something.
time.
Like
Yeah.
so long.
The surprising thing was is that once they released the mod this week, they were like, and we're done. They just were like straight up like, okay, here you go, community. If you want to improve it, go ahead. We're done with this shit now. We're moving to other things. Goodbye. Which I was like, hey, fair enough. You did the hard work. You made the thing. Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to run around in Skyrim with some people. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Something else that I've been playing recently is been playing some Magic. Been getting back into some Magic. There's this new set of Commander Legends, Battle for Baldur's Gate. So it's a bunch of Magic cards, all with characters and items and things from Dungeons and Dragons lore, specifically the Baldur's Gate games. And so that's really cool to kind of see that interaction. This isn't the first time that they did a D&D crossover, but it is kind of neat. Now, the reason I wanted to bring it up, because I know that we're not really a Magic the Gathering podcast, is that so there is that set that I've described of cards that exist in the real world. Then, to fuck with everyone, they were like, hey, we're going to have a set called the Battle for Baldur's Gate Alchemy on Arena. And normally Arena's just like the digital version of the actual paper thing. But this time they said, fuck you. And what they've decided to do is change all of the cards. So none of the cards in paper are the same digitally, even though they look the same because it's the same art and that they're named similarly. They all do different shit. which is very confusing and I hate it. I don't know why they decided to do this. There are some neat ideas that they explored in the alchemy set, where they did some things that you can't do in paper. Like basically there's a card that could transform into 6 separate cards, which you can't do in paper because there's only like one. Normally when you're transforming, you have the front of the card and then it transforms into the back of the card, where you can't do that unless you got like a 6-sided card. So there's stuff like that I was like, this is neat, but now you make my head hurt because all of the things that I'm learning from one of these sets is a lie to the other set. And it just makes knowing things of what's going on in either of the games hard, because then you're like, oh, I've seen this. I know how this card plays. And then you like think that the dragon's going to do something and it doesn't do that. It does something completely different and you lose. And I'm like, oh, this seems like poor game design. I don't know why you do this.
It does seem like a weird choice. Make those
Yeah,
differ.
like if they were going to do it to explore like that 6-sided card thing, sure, go for it. Make a brand new set
Mm-hmm.
and explore that stuff. I don't think that's a bad thing. In fact, it's very fun and I'm glad that they did it. But it just seems weird to like take something else that already exists that people were looking forward to coming to Arena and then just mucking it up for the purposes of you trying something new. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't have just done Baldur's Gate as a set on Arena and then done a separate set of just like brand new things.
Right.
So that was the thing that I've been dealing with the past week, of kind of been playing the two things in 2 different formats and being a little confused. But all in all, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, either of which is pretty fun, and I've had a good time with it. So, yay. I think it's just it's a good way of kind of introducing people into the game and kind of getting something interesting for people to kind of like build decks around. I also appreciate the fact that it's not a powerful set, and I put quotation marks there because a lot of people will buy sets that have like a lot of good cards in them, and they don't really think that this has like a lot of good cards. So all of the packs and everything are now dirt fucking cheap, and it's ridiculously fun to play. And so I'm so happy with that, because it's like, fine, hate this set as much as you want, people that are buying this for powerful shit. I do not care, because now it means that I can go buy another booster box of this and go play with my friends for like $70 rather than $100. And like,
Wow, I didn't realize it was that cheap.
yeah, like $70 for a booster box is honestly like insanely cheap. And so I love that. And I think that's a very good time. And so I think it's a good way of having like a kind of a cheap product to bring people into the game and being like, hey, here's something that you might be familiar with. It's not that expensive at your local store, so go buy a couple packs. It'll be the cheaper ones, and maybe you find something interesting that like will pull you in from the realm that you do know of Dungeons and Dragons and bring you over into Magic. So yeah, that's kind of been what I've been doing. Let's go into.
I find it so horrifying that $70 is the cheap one.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you can buy, like, you know, just like a deck for $20 and play it against somebody or something like that. But I'm talking about like a draft booster, which is like what you see displayed inside of stores, and you use all of those packs in a draft with 8 players, who everybody gets 3, and then you pass them around and you draft the cards and you build decks out of that. And so, yeah, doing a draft, especially if you're buying all of that yourself, that's expensive. But then when you like, if you went to a game store to do these kind of drafts, it's like $20, because if you think about it, it's like, or $15 to $20, because you're like spending just a couple bucks per pack that you'd be getting, and you multiply that by 8 people. So you get roughly the same amount there. But yeah, like, cardboard gets expensive in Magic. You're not wrong, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't gone Kevin on the Kevin end of the deep end of spending a ton of money on it, but I'm not far behind. Anyway, hey, what's been going on in the video game news world? There's pirate stuff, I hear.
Yeah, so Skull and Bones, that like ultra cursed Ubisoft pirate game they've been making for 7 years, maybe? Something
game,
like that.
I'm not sure anyone ever wanted, but now I'm sure no one has a desire to play anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. Did anyone watch the their gameplay reveal thing?
Yeah,
I did not. No.
It doesn't
looks
look
very
good.
sad.
No.
Yeah, it sounds very upsetting. I mean, you gotta
It
give it
looks
to
a
them.
little too overcomplicated, and it just makes me want to play Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, I mean, at least they went for a really unique angle. It's sort of like an open world multiplayer game where you gather resources to craft stuff. And I don't think anyone's made a game like that before.
Yeah, I've never heard
So
of any.
that was really refreshing, at least.
I got to the part in the video where they're looking through a telescope, and there's the circle in the middle that fills up every time you look at something for long enough, and I threw up and I closed the video. Because that's like the iconic Ubisoft ploy, is you just stare at something for a long time, and sometimes it doesn't work because you're not hitting the sweet spot. You gotta hit that sweet spot or it doesn't work.
Oh god.
What's
I remember
crazy-
doing that in Assassin's Creed when you'd like have your eagle or your whatever vision, and they're like, like, oh, it's near here, but it wasn't quite the sweet spot, so you wouldn't ping for you until you hit that spot. I hated that shit.
What's crazy to me is it looks like the combat looks like Black Flag, which came out like, you know what? I'm just gonna Google it.
yeah.
Several years ago. I
This-
think that was
A
what,
long time ago.
I mean,
2012,
this game
2011?
This game
No, I'm
spawned
sorry.
from Black Flag. Like they put
Yeah.
out Black Flag, and then they're like, "What if we did like a game that focused entirely
Black Flag was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
on like being an
Honestly, I think if
Pirate
they
RPG.
just were like, they just took the bones of Black Flag and were like, just make another single player game like this, but cut out the stupid assassin shit. I think
Right?
that would have done really well.
I think
But
that's
now
what
it's like-
everybody wanted.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but they're like, it's gotta be a live service.
Yeah,
Pirate
Everyone loves
RPG.
live
we gotta
services.
make money off of it, guys.
Yeah. So let's make something nobody will fucking buy, and then we're guaranteed to make money.
According to the wiki, this game spawned out of Black Flag and actually began development in 2013.
That is when Black Flag came out.
Yep.
9
Right.
years in development hell. I can't believe it doesn't look good. That's crazy. So
and
nutty.
then it was announced E3 2017. We got their cinematic trailer there, and it's just been like churning this whole time. It's apparently been like reimagined several times. Like it was originally an MMO. It had a working title, Black Flag Infinite, at one point.
Horrible.
No. just straight up, nah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really don't know who this is.
It's really
who
weird.
For.
I think the weirdest part about this game is there's no land exploration or like hand combat. There's no sword or gun combat. You can't
Yeah.
explore the islands. You can't fight people. You can't board ships.
Man,
But
that just
there
makes another
is,
game
like,
way
a-
better.
Yeah.
Boarding mechanic, right?
There is a boarding
Hey.
mechanic.
Yeah, they talk about like, oh, you can sink their ship or you can like board them, and it's like, but if there's no melee combat, how does do I just walk up and
From-
push X to win?
From what I
Yeah.
understand, I think there's like some sort of boarding mechanic, and then once you succeed at that, it kind of just like does it.
But what's the mechanic? Because it's
Man.
not fighting.
No,
Is it a QTE?
Maybe
Oh,
it's gonna be some sort of like ship mini game to get your like you're gonna have to disable them and then like line
How
up your
is
ship or something.
Ubisoft so
Yeah.
bad at games?
It's unreal. Like literally, if you look at the comments for that video, almost every comment is like, "I would like this game, but it looks like they ruined it, so I'm just not gonna get it."
yeah. I don't understand how there's like, hey, we've got a good idea, and then you're like, okay, and we're gonna make better stuff, and you're like, all right, cool, so we're gonna get better, pirate stuff. I like this, it's gonna look cool. And then they're like, but what if we make it awful on every gameplay standpoint? And it's like, you've lost us. You've lost all of us. I don't understand what goes on that they constantly do shit like that.
What's funny is
sorry, go ahead.
they wanted to do the whole like harvest materials survival crafting thing, but they don't have like land exploration, so you just kind of like shove your ship up against the side of the island and
Which
harvest
is
the
hilarious.
trees.
It is
Oh,
funny
silly.
to watch. I mean, Ubisoft, I think it's because, Steve Ubisoft. No, they made Assassin's Creed 2 once and they went, wow, people really liked that. So they've just made Assassin's Creed 2, I guess also Far Cry 3. So they've
Mhm.
made those
Mhm.
games over and over and over and over again for the past several years. A little different. They did at one point decide Assassin's Creed should be The Witcher 3 instead of Assassin's Creed.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it got infinitely better when they decided that it should be The Witcher rather than Assassin's Creed.
Sure. But, they're not like, ooh, a pirate game. Let's figure out like a fun way to do it. They're like, ooh, a pirate game. How can we make that Assassin's Creed?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have not, I mean, Ubisoft's other issues aside, I've not been a fan of Ubisoft for a while because all of their games feel like, oh, this is just like the last one, but I had to pay $60 for it again. Cool.
Yeah. And frequently it just feels worse than the last one,
A lot of times they do make it worse.
which is weird.
It's impressive, honestly, that they managed to do that. But
You must not have played Hours.
Wait, what?
what?
One of their games, I don't know what it is. Oh, it's for iPhone and Android only.
Ah,
Oh,
I see.
It's HOWRSE. Hours.
I've never heard of
Oh,
that.
it's about horses.
Yeah.
Free-to-play browser game. Okay.
Heck yeah, dude.
Is X Defiant even out yet? That game was something.
What was the game?
X Defiant. It's the Ubisoft Call of Duty game.
Oh.
It is not out
No.
yet.
They had a beta for that a long time ago.
Yep.
Mhm.
Wow.
I
Later
think-
this
I
year
think,
or in
like, their-
2023.
Their Rainbow Six stuff and their Tom Clancy
Oh, that's
stuff
true.
is always kind of decent, at least, like playable, and not something that you would launch and groan about.
Siege
Yeah,
is
on the
actually
better
like
side of
popular.
things.
I was gonna say
Siege
people
is-
do like Siege. That's probably the
Yeah.
last like big hit they've had.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It came out with Roller Champions, which is once again decent, and I think could maintain a fan base just because it's one of those sports style games that kind of just live on, like kind of like Rocket League,
Rocket League,
where it just
yeah.
lives on forever
Sure.
because it's just something easy to pick up and play.
Mhm.
Yeah, interesting company.
They have ideas. But there are better pirate games that also are in the news.
Yeah, so Sea of Thieves actually came out with a new season, July 11th, I think, and there was a lot of updates and stuff like that. Something that I saw was respawn timers were messed with. So like if you die and you go to the like cursed land or whatever, you come back faster. And
Oh, I like that.
I didn't read the patch notes fast enough, and I couldn't tell with people talking if they were saying that it was actually linked to how many players were on a ship. So like if you're on a sloop, you spawn faster, and if you're on a galleon, you spawn slower. Which is actually kind of, if they did it that way, is really cool. If they did it the other way, where it's if you're on a galleon, it's the same speed as a sloop, and everything's just faster, then I like that too, just because it gets boring sometimes when you board a ship, you kill them all, and you just stand there waiting for it to sink. It'll be
Yeah.
much more fun to be able to like board a ship. Now, alternatively, it's going to be much worse when there's actually a sweaty crew that you're fighting, and like they're never going to sink at that point. Anyways, that's not the topic I want to talk about. Sea of Thieves had some sort of like ARG happen, or is happening. I can't really tell. It's very misleading. It's not really something that, from what I've looked into, is very like apparent on how they're doing it. But I got an email with like a piece of paper with 2 letters on it, and that's the only thing that was in the email. And a lot of other people got emails, same thing. They put them all together. It makes a medallion with like a inner and an outer like code thing, and they were able to figure out from the chest that they put on to Twitter that there was like a little legend on the right hand side of it saying either 2 equals A or Z equals A, something like that. And then they were able to open the chest. Now the chest is open and there's another piece of paper with like a riddle on it or something like that. So hashtag SOT keys is what they're going off of. It's kind of cool. I like when companies do stuff like that, where it's like beyond just the game, and like the community
Sure.
has to like figure out puzzles and stuff like that.
And I'd have to say, I know. I think about 2-3 weeks ago, I jumped into Sea of Thieves because I was in anticipation of the new season, and there's just so much in that game now
Yeah,
that like
there's
I
a lot
felt
to do.
yeah, I felt so lost when I just like I jumped in and I was on the ship and they were like, "Hey, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Guys, I have not played this game for like 2 years. Whatever y'all want to do." And we ended up into some like temple underwater taking treasure and like setting off traps and stuff, and I was like, "I don't know what this game is anymore." And I am having
Right.
so much fun with it.
I think Sea of Thieves still is plagued by that. It's both its blessing and curse that you basically jump into an open world and make your own adventure. It's one of those things where it's like you have to have that mentality of like, I'm going to go out onto the sea and waste time, basically. Meanwhile, there's other games. I don't know, Destiny 2 comes to mind, where it's like you pretty much know, all right, I'm gonna go into this dungeon and do this dungeon, and
Yeah.
like you have a start and a finish, and then you can get off. So
Yeah, I think that they kind of address that a bit with, and maybe I'm wrong here, but because they actually have like the campaign end of it now as well, of if you want to do that kind of a thing of just being like, hey, if you want to have a start point, have an end point, go play the campaign mode. They built a campaign mode for that, but they're like, if you want to just get a group of people together and have some chaos.
yeah, they did make a better campaign than just what other stories that they did originally were just like, go here, dig this up, turn it in. And it's like, wow, I had such fun playing this story. But now it's like actually like Jack Sparrow and stuff like that. Is that the campaign that you're talking about?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
campaign's actually really fun.
Yeah.
I don't think it's... How much is the game right now? It's not 60 still, right?
No, it's cheaper, I do
Okay, it's 40.
believe.
I
Yeah.
don't believe if you want to pick that game up, the Jack Sparrow portion is worth $40. You definitely have to maintain playing for the other portion as well.
Oh yeah.
If you want to run that game.
What's the campaign part worth? $20?
15.
15?
How about
It's on
part of your
Game Pass.
subscription to Game Pass?
How about
Yeah, I was gonna say.
$1? Yeah.
Is part of Game Pass, so you could easily just play through the campaign a bit of it with your friends and be done and wash your hands and walk away. But yeah, I think that's one of those games that I feel like we've toyed with, and especially for something like the 24-hour stream, I think we'd have a lot of fun doing some more like concentrated effort in that game of being like, okay, we're gonna go do this, and this for during the stream kind of thing, and I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think we should kind of maybe think about going back into it, because it's a game that, but now that it's been upgraded so much and it's so vastly different than from what it started, that we could really have some fun just rolling around and fighting sea monsters and getting up to shenanigans.
I think the most wild thing about that game is they actually took out the arena mode, which was your PvP mode. And they did this because the arena mode was not played very often by anybody. I had gotten 200 victories within the arena mode, which is something you needed for titles and specific weapon sets and stuff like that. No longer can anybody access the arena to get it, so I'm very curious. I would have to do research on how people would ever be able to access those weapons again, or if it's just locked to the people who did arena mode back when it was around.
It might be that second part. I think there's a lot of stuff that was just like, you had to be here to get it when we did it.
It makes it that much more worth it for me when I come back to play that I have all of those like cosmetics unlocked that nobody else can get now. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
I did see, and I did think it was interesting that part of the update with this new thing was that they had loadouts for the ship,
Oh, that's so cool.
which I don't know why they didn't have it in the first place, but like there's always like your kind of go-to like cosmetics for your ship, and so now you can just save what you want as the cosmetics for your ship, and so that way every time you start it'll be that, or if you want to switch between two, you have
Right.
that already somewhere that you can just be like, oh, I'm feeling like doing the red one today, and you just click a button and all of it's red now, rather than going like, hold on, red sail, okay, red stern, okay, like, like it's just you one click, you're done because you've already saved it somewhere. And I don't know why it took them that long to get that set up, but I like that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. What other kind of seasonal things are happening over there, Chad, in the game news world?
Somebody deleted my quotations.
Mhm.
There is Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, quote unquote, season 2. They came out the end of last season, and they basically said, hey, we're coming out with a summer season. Battle Pass is going to be cheaper. We're going to have a lot more content that we're going to be pumping out constantly. We are going to fade away from the seasonal updates. We're not calling this season 2. It is season 2, but we're not calling this season 2. Because we want to be able to update anything and everything as quickly as possible, without being locked into a structured, this is when we're starting, this is when we're updating the game kind of thing. So I think that's a great direction for Blood Hunt, just because it still has a player base, but it is definitely turning out and looking like the failures of Hyperscape. Almost to a T. I'm actually kind of baffled, shook and shocked, actually, about what they have introduced into the game and how they have implemented it, such as this quote-unquote season, they introduced Team Deathmatch. My first question was, all right, for Team Deathmatch, did they go the easy route, where it's just a segment of the BR map, and you still have to find weapons in order to fight your enemies? And the answer is a resounding yes. It is a section of the BR map, and you have to find your weapons in order to fight your enemies. So it is half BR, half Team Deathmatch, and it is one of the most just baffling things to me how both companies decided that in order to retain player base, they would introduce a Team Deathmatch, but they didn't do it in a way where you could select loadouts or make it fun, I guess you could say. And so I actually have had the comment multiple times of, is Shark Mob made up of just like some Ubisoft employees that fell away from Hyperscape and they tried to go make another BR? Is that actually what's happening? Are we being duped? So
It was a long con.
So I'm still hopeful though, because of the fact that they said that they're falling away from the seasonal updates. Like Ubisoft stuck it to the man, and they're like, no, we're doing season to season content. This is the way it's going to be. They listened to the community by nerfing the Enforcer, which is the marble skin character, which as soon as you get into a fight with them, they're able to create their marble skin. They're invulnerable. They can shoot out of it at any time. They made it shorter. They made it to where you can still shoot out of it, but you can't heal. You can't do other like actions while you're in the marble skin. When before you could basically just think of anything and you could do it within marble skin and just not be killed while doing that. Siren, which was one of the worst characters, has a teleport and a flashbang. They buffed the flash from 20 damage to 50 damage, which is kind of insane. Thinking you only have 200 health anyways, you're blind and you're 50 damage down as soon as you get hit by that. They made throwing smoke bombs as the stealthy characters. You don't slow down anymore. You keep the same momentum, which I actually never even realized that you got slowed down when you threw the toxic bombs and stuff like that. So all in all, I think it's a good step forward for Blood Hunt. A lot of the cosmetics and stuff like that are really incredible, rather than being like your mediocre poop that for some reason every other BR does other than Fortnite. For some reason, Fortnite is just always stellar and phenomenal when it comes to cosmetics, but every other BR is just like the worst cosmetics you've ever laid eyes on. But yeah, Blood Hunt, I'm hoping it's successful, because like I do enjoy the game, and I would like to have not just Apex or Warzone. as the 2 BR, and Fortnite as the 3 BRs out there. There needs to be more variety.
So let's move on to our news segment of things. We've been doing gaming news. Here's some other gaming news things of Rockstar has apparently canceled the remakes that they were doing of GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption 1.
Yeah, technically this is a leak, but it seems to be corroborated a lot of places. But basically, it's like after they did the Grand Theft Auto trilogy, and that blew up like, really bad in their face. They're just shelving a planned remake of Grand Theft Auto 4 in the GTA 5 engine and Red Dead Redemption 1 in the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine. Jesus. I'm really disappointed because I liked Red Dead Redemption 1. I ended up liking Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. But I was really hoping. It seemed like a remake of Red Dead Redemption 1 was a no-brainer to me. Red Dead Redemption 2 was so big, and it's like, hey, you have this game that probably not a lot of people have played. I don't think it wasn't a huge game for them. Remake that thing in the Resident Evil. I keep wanting to say Resident Evil. In the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine. Because right now, God damn it! The first one is only playable on PS3 and Xbox 360, which right now means... I mean, for me, that basically means unplayable. Like, I can't... My PS3 doesn't run very well, and I don't have a 360.
Yeah.
So it just means I don't... If I want to replay the first one, I can't. Not in the cards.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, after 2 was huge, like the biggest game of all time, at the time at least. It was like, yeah, of course they'll remake the first one. Why wouldn't they? It seems so easy, kind of. You have the engine, you have all the assets, just kind of moosh them together. But then,
I wonder what game?
The first Red Dead Redemption cowboy game they made.
I think it maybe... I mean, I'm no programmer, but I think that taking the assets from one engine and getting them to work in a second engine might be somewhat difficult to make it look and
I'm sure
make the physics work the same.
It would be easy, but you're cutting out. You don't need writers because you already have it.
That's fair.
You maybe don't even need to record voice lines because you got them all. You just reuse all the audio from the first game. Mechanics, plot, locations. You don't need to really do any designing. You just kind of do porting, which obviously hard.
Yeah,
but
Blizzard
compared to making...
makes it obvious that's incredibly difficult, apparently.
Oh, yeah. They also turned off the lights in some maps, so you watch yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're very much right, though, is that, putting GTA 4 and Red Dead Redemption 1... if you just ported it, right? You take the game that's there and you get it to work on PC and newer consoles and things so people can go back and play those games. Sure. I'm, that can't be that hard, and I think that's probably a good idea. So that way, if you cared about the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, then you can continue it on with Red Dead Redemption 1, because maybe you didn't play it and you want to know what happens to the character there, and see some of the after effects. Sure. I understand that. But yeah, doing the whole remake thing that they've been doing, especially when they were trying to do the remake stuff of the previous Grand Theft Autos, and it just being so poorly done and looking so awful and not well done. Maybe it's best that they are stopping this and moving their efforts into something more fruitful.
Well, the thing is, I don't know how public knowledge this is, but the remastered trilogy, Rockstar just farmed that out to another developer. Just a company that made, I think it's mobile games. They were just yeah, you can do this, right? And they were yeah, for sure. And they were okay, you just need to remake all 3 of them and make it available on every system. And they were and I was okay, is it done yet? And it's I mean, kinda. And they were great, ship it, fuck it, we don't care. So I don't know, man. Obviously, to do these remakes, Rockstar would need to try. They couldn't just shit it out in a month. But that's obviously not something they're interested in. Why not just re-release Grand Theft Auto 5 again? whatever.
Yeah, they're really, really pushing that Grand Theft Auto 5 stuff, which is, on the one hand, sure, it is a pretty decent game. I do think that, GTA Online still has a very decent following, and it's still fun to just mess around with your friends on GTA Online. But it also, that at least makes me worried about the future of 6.
Yeah.
Just because I like that they are separate. I don't want to try to play GTA 6 while also dealing with hackers and screaming children and bots and shit. It's like, keep the two separate things. Give us a great story. Give us a lot of fun stuff to do. I respect them to be able to do that enough of just like, give us a good GTA 6, but then have the sandbox there for us to also fuck around online, because sometimes you don't want to deal with people, and you should have the option to not have to deal with people.
Yeah.
Kind of sidebar, Rockstar has kind of killed Red Dead Online.
Oh yeah, I
well.
heard about that
Oof.
too. I just
Yeah.
don't care about it.
That's been a thing for a while, that like they would do these grandiose updates to GTA Online of just being like, yeah, there's a new section of the map, and there's a bunch of missions, and here's a bunch of stuff, and oh, did you log in? We're giving you a free fucking car. And then it's like, oh, did you log into Red Dead Online? We'll give you 10 bullets. Here you go. And it's like, cool, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Like, did it just have bad numbers? Because like Red Dead Redemption
I would
2 was
guess.
so big.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
don't
mean, maybe it's just it was big because of people who wanted the single player stuff. So saying, "Hey, check out the online stuff," we're like, nah.
it doesn't help that they released it way after the game.
Yeah,
came
but it's
out.
also bizarre to me from when I went to do the online stuff because I wanted to check it out. All of the online stuff is like heavy story mode. It's just story mode with people. And like, I don't know. I know that I mentioned this on this podcast before, and it was a lukewarm reaction of things, but honestly, I would not have a problem of jumping online and playing with Jake and a couple of other people, because I know Jake enjoyed the story mode. I at least tolerate enough that I will do it some more, but I like being a cowboy, so like, fuck yeah, I'm in. Like, getting, 2 other people and then robbing some banks in this kind of story mode thing that like no one else is gonna mess with us, because they only kind of mess with you in like the free roam stuff or whatever that you actually have to deal with other players. So like, it would literally just be the couple of us like planning heists and doing heists and stealing horses and shit. And so I'm just kind of like, I don't understand why something like that wouldn't track well with people that like the story mode, because it's just story mode with friends. And I guarantee that these people have at least a couple friends that they could do that stuff with.
I mean, I'll tell you right, just personally, finished Red Dead Redemption 2, didn't even log on to the online. Not interested.
Yeah.
Not interested even a little bit. Even if it's good, don't want it. Not what I bought the game for.
And
Wow.
I think that might be a lot of
I mean, it could
the
be.
issue is the fact that of exactly that of people did their story, and then their story finished, and they were like, okay, and they didn't know either what the online was or they didn't care. And either way, you don't have people clicking it to check it out, and so then no one's over there.
I mean, Mass
And-
Effect 3 probably had the same thing, right? Big
Probably.
single-player game. Actually, a very compelling multiplayer mode. But Mass Effect fans aren't there for the multiplayer, are they? So
But-
they just finished the game and they went, okay, bye-bye.
The one thing that Mass Effect did was they tied in your like galactic readiness thing to
To be
the
fair.
multiplayer.
People also
Yes.
fucking hated that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that was at least a smart thing of just being like, hey, if you want to have some better galactic readiness, check out. But like, there's kind of like a sign in the campaign, at least, in the game, kind of pointing over to it and being like, hey, you can check this out, and it's probably going to be fun. And then, in fact, it was. Whereas there's nothing like that in Red Dead. There's nothing that says like, continue your story as this character on online with all of
Yeah.
your friends. You know, there's nothing there that tells you to go online. It's just like it ends, you uninstall, and you walk away.
I think fundamentally, like Red Dead Online versus GTA Online seems less fun too. Like GTA Online, if you think of like a sandbox with like a bunch of people, they're all like driving cars around, shooting rocket launchers, flying jets. Like that sounds like, you know, a wacky good time. A bunch of people in the Old West riding horses around slowly seems
Yeah.
like not as engaging.
I mean, even single player, a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2 is sort of big, wide open ranges.
Yeah.
You're just kind of riding your horse, doing your own thing, just kind of vibing. It is a weird match, kind of.
So yeah, I guess they said that they are not doing any more major updates for Red Dead Online. And then just recently the anniversary for the last major update happened. So it's been like a full year at this point since they've done anything with that.
Speaking of
Bad day.
things that are more of a happy day, things that have been developed for a while, I hear maybe there's some more Viking love going on.
That was what?
Right, that was perfect.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'm trying to set y'all up here because I don't know who actually fucking did it because there's no colors here. But anyway, God of War is going Viking.
Oh,
There's gonna be Viking.
I thought Valheim, then I thought
No,
Norseman.
I knew it was
Oh,
Alex,
man.
and I was gonna let him talk.
Yeah,
about it.
Yeah.
I forgot I put it in there.
Oh
God
my
damn
god,
it, Alex!
You're off the podcast.
Oh man.
This is why everyone doesn't link stuff till afterwards.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's out of order too, because
It is out of order.
I don't know. We skipped and went to Rockstar.
Another thing is the last thing in this list has nothing to do with Vikings, and so I was
Correct.
like, "What is
Yeah,
happening?"
Oh
that's
my
what I was
God.
looking at. I was like, is James Webb related to a Viking family?
Turn off the
Oh my God.
podcast.
Don't
We're
worry,
done.
we got there. There's a flow
Ugh.
here. Anyway, so Ragnarok,
Anyway,
God of War.
I just wanted to mention we'd like pooped all over God of War Ragnarok last podcasts and how they're definitely not going to come out this year. And then in between that podcast and this one, they said it is coming out this year, November 9th, 2022.
They say
Hurry
so.
up, Jake. You don't have much time.
I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working.
Does
on it.
anyone believe in November 9th?
I don't have a strong belief that it will hit November 9th.
Yeah.
Maybe it will. I don't know.
Do I have to buy a PS5?
Maybe
It'll come out
if
on
they-
PS4 as well.
Do I have to buy a PS4?
Well, okay, yeah. Or wait 2 years for it to come to PC? I don't know
Yeah,
what
see,
their
that's
schedule's
the
like,
issue.
but
Yeah.
Did you play the first one,
love to
Chad?
wait, but okay, I played all the way up until I moved out with Caitlin, like in the basement with your PS4, and then I really wanted to know the rest of the story, and I was like, "There's no way like it's gonna come out on PC or anything." So like I just watched the rest of the playthrough, and like it was a great story, and so I was like, "Cool, yeah, I'm gonna want to play the second one." So yeah, now I need to figure out if I'm gonna get a PlayStation or wait 2 years, 3 years, 4 years indefinitely for it to come out.
yeah.
Wow.
Or I guess I could just come over and play it on your PS4.
That's probably the smarter way to do it. Yeah, trick one of those
Mhm.
bozos into buying it, and then just play theirs.
There's no
Mm.
tricking involved.
Smart.
Yeah, okay, so like
Smart.
they play through it, they beat it, and then I'm just like, hey, could you guys buy your console and just one shot it in like a night,
Caleb
you know?
has a PS5 and a PS4.
Indeed.
You just
Oh.
steals
many-
PS4.
too many
He wouldn't even
consoles.
Let me
Yeah.
just
PS4.
borrow your PS4 and then
Yeah.
I'll just like buy it myself and I'll just have a random PS4 5 game in my house with no PS4 5 once I give it back to you.
It's perfect.
I think the best plan is like we just let Caleb play it first, and then we all cycle through borrowing his PlayStation 5.
Okay, so we all chip in to buy the God of War game though. Because I feel like it's only fair if that's gonna happen.
But I own the console, so I don't ship in on the game.
Mhm.
Oh,
That
no.
doesn't
Don't
seem
agree
right.
with that? Oh, okay.
You know,
Uh.
back in the day when PS3 was a thing,
Yep.
me and a couple of friends had a neutral PlayStation account that none of us actually owned that we all bought games on
Oh.
because there was like no restrictions on game sharing. So like if you had an account that had the game on the console, then you could just play it.
It's kind of a good idea.
So we would
Yeah.
just rotate who bought whatever game next and buy one copy and we would all replay it. It was
It's pretty
great.
good.
Yeah. Is good idea.
From what I understand, you can't really do that anymore.
I mean,
No.
yeah, I think they probably caught on to that and they were like, "Hey, no, we want our money."
They got the sharing thing, but it works between two people, basically.
2 people.
Mm-hmm.
As previewed previously, as teased previously. There we go. Ha. The last thing in the news was a lot of us were fascinated with the James Webb space the James Webb Space
That's all, folks.
Telescope that happened this week, and just seeing some of that sweet space action.
And we got to
It
see
was-
some
it was really-
pretty cool new images from that.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible stuff. With
Mhm.
the first image they put out, the deep field image, is like the deepest into space that we've ever seen. Apparently, that section of the sky has a naturally forming gravitational lens. So it's basically like we're pointing a telescope at a natural telescope and then seeing like super far.
Mm.
And it's like 13.2 billion years in the past that you can see. So it's like like galaxies that are only like 100 or 200,000 years old.
It's
Wow.
nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy stuff. There's a lot of images that they took that are the same as other famous Hubble images, and you can see them side by side and see how much better the new telescope is,
Yeah.
how much more detail you can get.
Did they say how
Uh,
many megapixels it is?
Yeah, it's like 4 megapixels, I think.
Whoa, that's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah,
Megapixels.
it's I mean, if you look into like the design of the telescope and stuff like that, it looks nuts.
Yeah.
If you look at the mirrors, it's like
The
a
gold
bunch
mirrors.
of hex panels now,
Mhm.
like gold-plated hex panels instead of like one disc like the Hubble has.
Man.
The Cosmic Cliffs image that they released, that's the last image they released, is just
So cool.
a
It's
stunning
so neat.
image. It is now my
Yeah.
desktop background.
As
So-
it should be. I put it as my phone background because it is the neatest thing, and you're just like, I don't know. It's moments like this that really is just like, right, space. Space is
Mhm.
some cool shit. Like, it's
Yeah.
fascinating.
I think Alex
They
was the one who
measured,
said that deep space image. If you
Yep.
hold up a grain of rice, that's how much of the sky it actually takes up.
Grain of sand.
Grain of sand.
Jeez.
Sorry.
If you hold
Smaller.
a grain of sand at arm's length and look up in the sky, that is the patch of sky that the deep field covers. And there's just like thousands of galaxies in that image.
Yeah.
Space, huh?
Space is crazy.
How about it?
Hey, you should know a lot about it, Jake.
I do. I do. Is that why? Maybe this is why there are so many Dead Space games coming out soon.
Maybe. But yeah, space crazy, Vikings crazy, even crazier,
Wow.
space Vikings, and our
Man.
boy Thor.
Why did that actually fit so well?
Wow.
That's
Wow.
upsetting.
I'm uninstalling the podcast.
Can you do that? Teach me, please.
I can teach you how to uninstall the podcast. See, I told you there was a pattern and there was a reason
Throw his
why I went out
computer
of
out my
order.
window.
I had this planned out. Did anyone else see Thor? Was it just me?
I haven't seen it.
I think we're gonna go together,
Yeah.
but then Aaron decided to go on a business trip.
Ugh, what a jerk.
Hey, it's Thor. It's good. Go see it.
Is
Did-
it
did-
fine?
No, I'm not even saying it's fine. It's good. It
Oh,
is
it's
a step
regular
above.
good. Okay,
It's just
alright.
good.
I've heard a lot of people are upset about it.
I don't know
Yeah.
why though.
Like
Is it-
upset, or like
Or like
disappointed?
Internet upset.
disappointed. Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
I
to
think
be
they
fair,
were
a
looking
lot of
like,
people are
for-
throwing shade at Taika, I think.
It's not as good
Over
as
it.
Ragnarok.
Yeah.
that's such a hard movie to follow.
Yeah,
I think
right?
that movie just came out of nowhere and was just like awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Like,
only thing that I have seen on it is that somebody's mad about the Rock guy being inconsistent with in Ragnarok how he said me moms, and then in this
Yep.
one he just said my two dads or something like that.
Yep.
So
Also,
Alright. Word.
solution: one of his parents is trans. Done.
Yeah, the people who were upset about him having two dads will be thrilled that one of them is trans. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fixed it.
You know, like I also think that he's you know, it's a random rock guy.
Caitlin
He's-
just in the chat said something very
Yeah.
like very good. He's made a
Oh,
rock.
sure.
It's not weird to imagine they switched gender at will.
Or even aren't even gendered, to be honest.
True.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and just kind of do whatever. And also, in the grand scheme of your MCU canon having to all fit and being correct, I don't think the gender of a off-screen character's parents
I don't know.
is
It could
going
come
to
back
matter.
to bite them.
I-
Honestly, like it could be like, you know, what, King the Conqueror or whoever, and then it's just like because it's the two genders, it's like it just breaks the universe. Like
Mhm. When we finally
ultimately,
get
I
to-
think they're actually going to come back to this, and they did this on purpose because it's going to be a plot device later.
Of course.
and we
Of
figured
course.
it out.
in Avengers 5, we're
Gonna
going to
be
grandly
like-
reveal that Korg's second dad is the true villain.
Yeah.
And he could have more than two parents, also.
Oh my god, it's all coming together. Guys, I think we cracked it.
I think
Or like one of them's a step parent, but like he has a good relationship with them, so he doesn't specify every time he says it.
Mmm.
Man, it's almost like this portion just doesn't matter, and nobody
It
should have been
doesn't.
mad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could see potentially people being mad at is there is a character that is no longer going to be part of the MCU because of this movie, and it just seems kind of weird. Like, I think they did a very good job of sending this character off, but it's also just kind of like, okay, but like you also kind of didn't let them go. Like, there's like a shot of them in Valhalla, and so you're like, cool, so does that mean they're actually dead and we just like see them in heaven, or are they gonna like try to pull them back? Like, I don't know. I think that's the only thing that I could actually see some sort of things of like fans being upset about for a legitimate reason. But the rest of it, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I think that the same way that Taika gave us some crazy, interesting visuals with color in Ragnarok, he does the opposite here of they go to a place where there is an absence of color, and so then it's like this black and white, but there's occasionally during the fight scene, like people are using their powers, and when that happens, there is color on the screen, and so it's really cool to see like literally everything in black and white, but then like Thor's cape is like just like this glowing red. And it's like, wow, this is actually really fucking pretty. Like, this looks good. And so I think that they did a really good job of making it look visually distinct. It had it had a theme of its own that I was also very happy with. That I was like, oh yeah, like this is distinct from other ones. I didn't feel like this was kind of, you know, like we've talked about how it's like, oh yeah, this is the same thing as all of these other movies. You've just subbed in Iron Man for somebody else, and it's the same exact like step repeat of a story. This isn't. They also did a really good job with the villain. The villain has an entire thought process, and you're like, wow, this doesn't suck.
They didn't bring back Dark Elves. I was hoping with Natalie Portman coming back, they'd bring back Malekith.
Wow,
You
you nailed
remember
that. You
the
nailed
name?
that.
Wow.
Well,
I'm
maybe.
so
It depends
impressed.
if that's right or not.
That is correct.
Malekith?
You are correct, sir.
Malekith the Accursed. Look at that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
How do you know that?
To be fair, Malekith was also an Elden Ring boss, so that
Yeah.
probably helps keep the name in my brain.
Nope. I think they just grabbed Natalie Portman, and Natalie Portman does a good job. I
She's
really
not a
enjoyed
dark
Natalie
elf.
Portman. I don't know how much of the kind of the media circus around the MCU stuff that you guys are part of. of specifically referring to like all of the Easter egg videos on YouTube, things of just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna break down all of the references from the last episode of Loki or
Man.
whatever that stuff is.
No.
I definitely got down a YouTube rabbit hole of that because I watched one time, and then my entire YouTube history is filled with it.
The only reason I say that is because there was a scene that I looked at and I laughed out loud in the theater because I was just imagining the person freeze framing the shot and trying to explain everything in it, and I was like, that poor fucking intern. Like, everybody's staring at this. I was like, oh, those poor fucking people, because there is so much in that one picture. I was like, oh no. I was like, please just stop, just don't even try to do it, just let it happen. But yeah, go check it out. It's Thor. It's good. If you liked Ragnarok, you'll like this. There's nothing that would say otherwise. It's a fun MCU movie.
I have one more thing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a reminder because of Dark Elves, which Night Elves and World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
They actually, I think they're in like what, closed beta
Alpha.
Yeah, okay, of Dragonflight, and you can choose the Evoker, which is a new class. And it's supposedly advanced. And so it comes up with an advanced warning when you're in the character creator, and it says, this is an advanced class. And it says, okay, choose a different class or continue with Evoker. So you continue with Invoker or Evoker, and then it comes to another page that says, all right, do you understand that this is advanced? Type in advanced if you understand.
Oh my god.
Does it really?
Yes.
It's so like condescending.
Yeah.
You'll miss tutorial if you proceed. We recommend starting with a different class. You can always come back to this one and move. What does it say? Once you're more familiar with the game, if you're sure, type advanced in all caps.
Jesus.
Kind of like how when you're deleting a MMO character, you have to type in either their name or the word delete to make sure. Which I think that's needed.
Sure.
I don't think this is needed.
Yeah, that just seems rude. They're like, "Are you sure, dumbass, that you can handle this thing?" But yeah,
do we know what makes it advanced?
It probably has 6 buttons instead of 5.
Well, it
does sound
also
hard.
has a flying ability versus the other characters that do not actively, like, you'd have to jump on a mount to fly, whereas the Invoker literally is just like, I think they're like half dragon or something, and so they just go wings and they just fly around. And so I think there's something to do with the flying aspect of it. I could be wrong, but I know that was like a big deal about the new DLC that is coming out. Is they're just like, oh yeah, it's called Dragonflight, and god damn it, you're getting dragons and you're getting flying. They were very clear on that there was going to be a fuck ton of flying stuff. There's going to be flying combat. They're like, flying is gonna happen here.
Not to delve too deep into this, but wasn't the last expansion End of Dragons?
Now
we got
just went to
Dragonflight?
Guild Wars.
Oh, it's
That's
Guild Wars.
Guild
Thank you.
Wars,
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Easy
Well,
to
see,
mix
that's
up
exactly
right there.
all of the dragons moved from Guild Wars
From Guild
to
Wars. Got it.
Yeah.
That's how Caleb doesn't play MMOs.
True.
The thing that I'm actually excited about, the new thing is the new WoW expansion, is that they're bringing back skill trees, and I'm intrigued by that. I like that. I like skill trees. That's the reason why I play the old WoW.
Just out of
classic
curiosity, are you even intrigued about retail WoW in the slightest? Because I thought you were classic only, true and tried and true.
Yeah, and most of that is because of the skill tree.
Okay.
And I will say a lot of that is due to the fact that
We'll see what happens December 22nd. Or,
exactly.
2022. This year, December.
The fact that
play
they're
it for
bringing
5
skill
minutes,
trees
be like, "It's not
to
for me."
retail is a thing that I'm like, hey, I liked that. It gave you some customization of your character, even if you're not like optimizing it to be the best. It doesn't fucking matter. You're making the character yours. And I liked that. Like, I have plenty of characters on Classic that are like, I've got a fist weapon spec rogue, which is like not good, and it does not do well, but it's fun, and it does good with fist weapons. It's just, like compared to all of the other skill tree stuff that I could do, I'm not putting out as much DPS as a sword rogue or whatever these days. And I'm just like, I don't care. I'm having fun. This is my rogue. This is my build. And so I'm excited to see them kind of bring that back and see how they do it versus how they've been doing it in retail right now, which is just like giving you 2 options. And they're like, yeah, it's kind of like a skill tree of just like, you either heal better or you punch gooder. Pick. And I'm like, all right, I guess.
That's
So,
all.
yeah, that's it. That's what we got.
And
Nice,
turn it off.
nice clean cap, like 90-minute cast there. So thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of this. Thank you so much. We've been the Forecast with Alex and Caleb and Jake and
Oh my
Chad.
God,
Is
stop.
this how we do
This
it?
is not how
Yeah.
I do it
Oh,
at all.
dude,
I
on
was
Twitter,
hoping
Secret
any
Service
of
is
you
trending. Why?
would actually say
That's
something.
not good.
No, don't do this.
So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.